We return!
Welcome to October.
That was a really weird, awkward opening, Lily. We both look at each other and we're like, who's going to talk first?
And then we started kind of at the same time. Welcome, everybody.
If only you could see our eyes.
It's Lele and Mikey.
Lele and Mikey, welcome back. She brings it, and I most definitely wing it.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're in October. I love October. It's my favorite month.
It's nice.
My favorite.
Well, so we live in the desert, in the southeast corner of the desert.
Yes.
Wait, let me just give you my physical address for everyone to know. The desert's pretty vague. We live in the desert.
Yes.
And
you don't need to know anything else besides that we live in the desert and
nothing else. But it's really hot during the summer. Mm-hmm. And so this time of year is very magical because we don't got crazy heat temperatures and things start to feel amazing outside.
Best time of the year. And it's the best month of the year because we are in October, which is the month of Halloween.
And that's why we have Halloween on Christmas. For you Blink-182 fans out there.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a line from a Blink-182 song.
I gotcha. Anyway, so horror movies are my favorite. I'm very weird that way.
Horror movies, huh?
I find them comforting. I can't relate to any of them. So, I don't get sad about how what's their names in romantic comedies are happy and in love and found their soulmate. I'm just watching people survive. It's perfect.
Okay.
I love it. So we are going to obviously milk this because I want to. And during October...
Because she's obsessed, and I really think she borderline has a problem.
Hey.
Yes, this is me judging you, Lele.
It's okay, judge away, brother.
Okay.
Anyway, so basically... we are going to have some fun, and October is going to be a month of spookiness for the rest of October that there is.
Yes.
We will have at least a few episodes.
I don't get to indulge the way that you do, Lele, because your kids have left the caboodle. They're older. True. My youngest is only 2. She's almost 3. My oldest is 14. He's getting to the point where he's old enough where he can start to handle it. But, the extent of quote-unquote horror movies that I watch at my house is, Ernest Scared Stupid. Which I actually watched with them, by the way. It came out in the 90s.
I remember it. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, and it was really cheesy.
It was weird.
But my kids still were entertained and thought it was funny. It didn't creep them out, But that's the extent of what I watch at my house,
Oh, come on.
We can watch The Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus.
Come on, we know that you have some nights where you're sitting up there with it turned down low in the dark watching some horror movie, or when the kids are out.
No, it's turned up. I'm just like, honey, I'm sick. I'm going upstairs. I'm watching a horror movie. Don't let anyone upstairs unless you want our children traumatized.
See, I knew it happened. I knew it.
Very rarely, I actually can be up past when they're...
Yeah.
As I get older... I can't do the late nights like I used to. So,
So anyway, today we are going to talk about ghosts.
Ghosts?
Supernatural activity.
And here I thought we were going to talk about horror movies.
No. I love horror movies, and the reason that is great for October is because they release a whole bunch of new horror movies and re-release a whole bunch of great horror movies. They
do. In fact, I haven't seen the new Halloween movie.
I have.
Of course you have already. Did you go to the theater, or where did you see it?
I watched it at home. I got HBO and stuff.
Were you pirating?
No, I got HBOs and stuff.
No, but that's not on HBO.
Okay, I watched my friend's Plex account who might do some things that I don't know about.
Okay.
But I get to see movies right
Plausible deniability.
I mean, I don't know. I just know they're on his thing. His account.
Okay.
So anyway, and they also released a series recently called The Watcher. And It is great. It's about people who buy their like dream house, but start receiving creepy letters and having somebody break into their house and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's a short series. I watched it in one day.
Freaky.
On a weekend or whatever. But anyway, yeah, you should check it out.
So ghosts are the topic today,
yes. Ghosts are the topic.
I will be interested to see where this goes.
Well, and I mean, all this kind of stuff is interesting to me, you know? And, like, I love dressing up for Halloween. I just love all that kind of stuff.
I like getting in costume as much as the next guy. Little cosplay.
There you go. Man, I don't know. Maybe next year we'll have to think about it. Maybe we'll actually record ourselves in costumes next year.
Are you divulging what you're planning on being for Halloween this year, Lele?
No.
It's gonna be a last minute surprise?
No, I'm going up to visit Grandma with Mom, so I think I'm not gonna bother because I'm gonna be driving home all day on Halloween. We just need to get home before the trick-or-treaters so we don't kill them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna be doing any Halloween
stuff. My oldest son, he's got longer, shaggy hair, which is braidable. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got him into Viking stuff. Yeah. So he decided he's going to be a Viking, and he asked me to dress up as a Viking with him.
Oh, I'm excited. You need to get a wig.
A vig?
Heck yeah. We could put like Celtic braids in there. I'm sure Annie could figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out. But yeah, I'm going to be a Viking this year.
Do it.
I'm going to tap into my Danish roots.
He's going to put Conan.
I'm going to be a Dane.
Do it. Okay. So, we're going to talk about that kind of stuff, and this is very open for discussion with you because I'm pretty sure we have varying opinions on that whole stuff.
I'm sure that we will. But do I believe in ghosts?
Yes, that's a question.
See.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I do, of course, believe in life after this. Uh-huh. And I do believe that those that have died remain here in spirit.
All of them? Or some of them?
I'm not going to get that deep.
Okay. You believe it's...
But I believe everywhere we go, as we're walking around, there are spirits there. We just can't see them.
Okay, so this is part of the fun of me and Mikey as a combo. I'm the one who's the more, if my five senses can't, detect it, then I just honestly have a hard time deciding and accepting that it's real. So I think it's possible there are ghosts, but honestly...
Can you see atoms?
Well...
Can you smell them? Can you touch them?
This is what I'm trying to say.
I'm just saying, just because you can't have your five senses involved doesn't mean it's not there.
Well, and I have seen some stuff I can't
You've seen
explain.
an atom?
And you can tell me a story that you can't explain, because I've had stuff I can't explain, but I still don't know that I want to put it over to like ghosts and demons and specters and whatnots and guys. But I will say, arguingly or whatever, in argument.
Arguably.
Yes. Energy, everything's made out of energy. And I've heard the theory that where really intense emotions happen, that it can leave energy traces. And I think it's possible that, because a lot of the people who tell you that they've seen real ghosts, people who go places and see real ghosts, they're always doing the same thing. So I feel like it's almost like a replay.
It's like a memory?
Yeah, like a memory that left a mark.
Energy that remained that continues to remain.
Yeah, which would mean that it's like an echo of what was there. But it was very powerful.
It's like a loop.
Yeah.
It's like a broken record.
See, and part of the fun of this one is the fact that we get to have a little friendly debate about it. So another thing I want to bring up is
Just don't yell at me. That's all I ask.
This is friendly.
Don't scream at me.
This is friendly.
I'm very sensitive.
I'm just throwing out ideas, and you can just say what you think of it. And let me know. There's also people, some people have mental disorders, and so they might have.
Yeah, I have ADHD. Is that considered a mental disorder?
I guess. I don't know.
It's called squirrel syndrome.
And I mean, there could have been somebody who'd done some drugs back in the day, and all of a sudden they're having some weird acid flash, and you just don't know. You don't know.
Okay.
Okay. And then another thing I want to bring up is, there's those balls of light. People will say they see them and they're seeing a spirit fly by, right? Okay.
I'm not so sure I believe in that crap.
Well,
because I'll see these like spirit hunter shows or whatever. They're like, look at this orb that went across the screen. I'm like, you mean the thing that your editing guy threw into the footage? I'm not so sure I believe in that.
But no, listen, there is a natural phenomenon called lightning or ball lightning. Have you ever heard of it?
Is it lightning that's in a ball shape?
I'm excited for you to
Oh, tell me.
Google.
Teach me.
YouTube. Go to your YouTube.
Go to my YouTube.
Yeah. Just put up, put in ball lightning.
Ball lightning.
Uh-huh.
Lightning. Caught on video?
Yeah. Just
okay.
So what happens is electricity can get to where it's like a perfect storm.
Rare ball lightning captured on video. Okay, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you all look some up. Okay?
Of course, there's a stupid YouTube ad.
That's why you need to
3, 2, 1, skip it.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
And fast forward a little.
It's showing a night sky. Whoa.
See that?
Whoa. It's like.
Yeah.
Holy crap. It's like the freaking Northern Lights, but like.
Yeah. So people have seen them come into their house through their window in their room and like fly by them. In fact, there was a king back in history who had one fly into his throne room and go past his head. And of course, they probably would have thought that was a specter, right? Or
interesting.
A fairy. Right?
Wait.
I'm telling you.
Now I'm freaking out, man. What is this? Ball lightning. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna watch one more little clip here.
It's luminescent sphere objects.
It really looks like a walking electric ball of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm excellent at saying this. It even like electrically shocks things around it though.
Yeah, it can make hair stand up and everything. So.
It's electronic, supersonic.
Exactly. And it's unexplained phenomenon. And they just call it.
I'm just telling you, people, if you haven't already, you gotta Google that and watch it. That is some crazy stuff.
And like in 1901, it flew into a building of important people, and they're all thinking, "Holy crap!" Can you imagine what people would be thinking back in that time period when they believed in, fairies and everything and supernatural things?
Yeah, but the light orbs that I've seen in these like ghost whatever shows that they have on TV did not look like what I just saw on YouTube. So
yeah,
once again, if you have not seen it, people, please Google and watch it on the YouTubes.
But my point is, I could see where people would look at certain things that
if you can't explain it,
explainable. They know that it's a lightning ball, basically. Uh-huh. But the point is that, they could look at that and you could see how they could think that it's something supernatural, right? Like it's a spirit floating around or something else.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, what is the definition of like supernatural? It's something you really can't explain, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and another thing I want to bring up, which is a little more out there, but I still feel like it's valid, is ELF. So
Elf? I love that movie in the Christmas time.
Elf or EMF. And basically it's the sounds that you can't hear in your ears.
So they're like, they're frequencies that we just can't hear.
Yes, but you can. On some level, you're aware of it. So they were talking about...
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah. So they were, talking about how a lion could let off like a little sound. They even have like a weird little... They don't purr. Lions don't purr like other cats or tigers, sorry. Whatever. Anyway, some of the big cats don't purr. They can't.
Yeah.
And they'll make like a little clucky sound thing to each other to talk. Yeah. And they're sounds that things make in nature that's really quiet. But it is possible that we, throughout, time, have gained kind of a... how sometimes you'll walk somewhere and you feel like you're in danger? Mm-hmm. And you can't explain it?
It's that gut feeling, that sixth sense.
Yes. Well, they said depending, you could be hearing a frequency that an animal's making that is an animal that's dangerous to you, and you're reacting to it, even though you can't actually knowingly hear it. You know what I mean?
Huh.
And you'll like pick up on it. And they're saying too that if
Which makes you wonder if we kind of pick up things on a cellular level too.
Oh, I bet.
Because our bodies are filled with uncountable living organisms that make up our whole body.
Exactly. So they were even saying like maybe some of these really old buildings and stuff, they could have a water heater or different kind of ventilation systems where if they're off skelter enough, they could be making some of those frequencies that can cause you to have a negative reaction.
So I'm seeing a commonality of you saying it's a bunch of hogwash and and it's all just misinterpretation of reality.
I'm just being a scientist.
Wasn't a spirit. It was a ball of lightning. It wasn't a spirit.
Maybe the ball of lightning.
It was the frequency
the ball of lightning
that freaked your body out because the vent was faulty design. I see what you're doing.
Okay.
Well, but honestly, on this spectrum, there are a lot of things that I think are bull crap. But I am very open-minded.
There you go. Now, another example. During the Salem witch trials, there was one point when they were all like in the town hall building.
They were all really witches.
Okay, these girls are...
They were not innocent.
And they're saying they're seeing like this evil thing on the rafters, and all these people are looking up and saying that they're seeing it, right? Well, there is such a thing as mass hysteria that can hit people to where people can be so influenced by other people's feelings, they can look up and they can see things that other people are saying they're seeing. They say that is possible. Not only that.
Or they want to see it enough and they lie.
That's what I was going to say. Or they lie because they're afraid that if they're the one who didn't see it, they're going to think that they're...
they're like, why don't you see it? Maybe...
You're evil. So, whatever. Or you're pretending, or you're not afraid. You're not afraid because you're one of them. But whatever the case is, like, there's different times throughout history where they've had large groups who've claimed to see something, but everybody was really worked up.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if people sometimes can, your mind can play tricks on you sometimes.
Or there's that terminology or phrase where they say...
Convince yourself.
You see what you want to see.
Exactly. You convince yourself that you're seeing it. And so I think that's a large possibility too. And, nowadays you see some things that are recorded and it's freaking amazing looking, but we have such technology to fix that stuff now. And I watched some stuff with, videos that were supposed to be having a lot of controversy over whether it was true or not, where there was a guy who was analyzing it. And there's just one that he is baffled by. And it's one where there's this guy who's out on vacation with his family at Gettysburg.
Okay.
And he's recording.
Where, like, the Battle of Gettysburg happened.
Yeah, and you can see these, like, transparent specter things walking around. And the guy couldn't find any editing on there at all. And he said that usually you can tell when you watch a ghost show. So this, just so you all know, this is a good way when you go on YouTube and you're all looking up, I saw a demon.
Ghost hunters.
Or I do check out all these weird ghost scenes. This is one way you can tell whether it's been set up. If it looks like a movie. If the specter's completely in frame where it needs to be all the time. So with the Gettysburg thing, the guy is moving his camera around trying to catch him, and there's times when he would pass one right as it was appearing and like cut it off, or he'd be moving and one would be on the side of the screen over the other way or whatever. Like, it was chaotic to where you could tell the guy didn't know where to put his camera.
Okay.
And you'll see some recordings where it's like the camera's angled perfectly down the hallway to catch everything that the specter does.
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and now too with the levels of CGI and the software that people have to edit stuff, then you really, it's getting to the point now, like, where I'm watching
you.
Well, I'm even looking at, like, Lord of the Rings, like the new Lord of the Rings series, and I'm looking at the cinematography, and they've got backdrops with castles and oceans and dragons, and it's like getting to the point where it's like, that looks real. I mean, growing up when we were kids, you could tell when they started working to CGI and it wasn't good because it was obvious that it was CGI.
Yeah, or
but
picture.
that gap is getting really, that line is getting very fine. And so it's hard to just believe anything on camera anymore because it is potentially subject to tampering with good technology to where you can see something and be like, how do I know if that's real or not?
Well, it's just like that guy who got recorded where he was doing, or the guy who made Facebook. There was a recording
Zuckerberg?
Released where he was saying he was going to close down Facebook because he never meant it to be toxic. And it was literally a CGI him. And it looked just like him and sounded like him. And it was completely fabricated.
Well, they can even do concerts now. I mean, Tupac's dead, but he did a concert after he was dead.
Really? I didn't know that. Recently?
Well, they're
So there are ghosts.
no. Well, they're getting the point now where they do.
Fuck is back.
They actually do like 3-dimensional images in front of you that you see that look like it. Anyway,
Gotcha.
you can Google that one and watch it too.
But anyway, so basically, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you can't explain, but just because you can't explain it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like some demon from beyond or some spirit from beyond, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, can you validly agree with me? Or
Yes.
Okay.
But on the same note, see,
Go for
like
it. Now it's your turn. Go.
I believe that there are evil spirits, and there's good ones and bad ones, just like there's good people and bad people. And I honestly believe that there are people that get visited by the devil or demons, which are like servants of the devil. Like I truly believe that some of these rock stars out there, they even write songs about it, that they had an offer made to get to, they basically sold their soul. So, one of my uncles and my dad, they were in a band and they were getting ready to get big. They won the Battle of the Bands state championship. It was kind of a big deal. They were on all the local radio stations. They were doing well.
It really did happen.
Yeah. And my uncle actually said he had an experience where he was approached by some kind of dark figure or evil thing that basically said, hey, if you want to make it, here's the offer. And he didn't do it or didn't feel comfortable with it.
Is that when someone else who was more popular released a song with the same name and they all started playing that one? Because that's
long story short, they didn't end up getting big. But I truly believe that there are evil powers that have powers, and that there are literally people in this world that make a deal, right? They make a deal with the devil.
Kind of like when the guy asked me, my friend, on Snapchat and asked if I wanted him to be his sugar daddy. Kind of like that.
Sure, we'll just play along and act like that's within the same realm somehow.
I feel like that's selling your soul. I was like, unfriend. I didn't even respond.
Yeah.
Like, that's evil.
But yes, I do believe in spirits, and I believe there are good ones, and I believe that there are bad ones.
Gotcha.
That's where I stand.
Okay.
That's my belief.
Okay. It's okay for you to believe that, though. I don't judge people for believing that.
No, but on the same note,
But
I listen to both sides, and I think it's true that there are also a lot of things that people want to believe, and they make it into something that it's not. So I think there are real spirits out there and real encounters that people have had with them, and other ones like you're explaining, where it's not what they think it is, but they're just trying to make sense out of something that they can't explain.
Yes. So another point I want to add, that this one is me getting a little out of that normal box.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit. So if you notice, there's a lot of stories where there was some serious, paranormal activity, like The Conjuring was based off of a family that happened with. And
right.
Other films.
There have been some based off of true story horror movies.
Yes, Ed and Lorraine Warren, some of their cases, because they really went around and did stuff. And, you've even got the the Enfield poltergeist, where, you know, they had a whole bunch of people staying in their house and everything, and the daughter was supposedly, you know, possessed. And then we've got, you know, ones from the 1800 where, you know, everybody was hanging out at their house and all this stuff people are saying they're all seeing, you know, all these different things. Well, there's always seems to be, you know, and even when we were growing up, our friends from across the street were having problems for a while. But there always seems to be some adolescent who's going through that change from child to teenager.
So
Puberty.
So puberty causes the paranormal, is what you're saying?
Listen.
My balls have dropped. Holy crap, there's a spirit there.
Okay, when you hear these stories.
I've got hair growing on my body, Dad. Oh my gosh, my closet is scary.
Okay, look, every single time, most of the time, you look at all these stories. I've looked at so many of them because, you know, I'm always trying to understand what I can't understand, which is why I look at all the angles, right? Got to get all the information so I can make decisions. Well, I mean, okay, if in 90 whatever % of these stories, there's some child who's hitting puberty, who's having problems and that being a problem in the household, and all of a sudden crap's being thrown around the room and by the walls or whatever. What if...
And that's a cause from a fresh menstruation that has never been menstruated before?
Well,
I'm a little confused, Lele.
It's not always a girl. But
I didn't say it was. That was one example. I talked about a boy's balls dropping.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'm covering all my angles here.
So this is... What if we're energy... Okay.
Which I believe we are energy.
We know. They've looked at us. We're all energy. Everything's energy.
We are like walking lightning bolts.
Yeah, and the world is energy.
We are,
energy.
like I said before, electronic, supersonic. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. So anyway, my point is what if we have more power than we think we do? You know? Like somebody can convince themselves they see something. What if the energy that these kids are throwing out and it usually happens where kids are suppressing things too.
It's kind of like
rage, suppressed rage.
Is it like an explanation of like the Slender Man from one of our previous episodes?
No.
Where they see something and swear they see something that's not really there?
She has schizophrenia. That's not the same thing. Okay. So anyway, basically my point is...
Fair point. Foot in mouth.
Maybe, there's some really powerful energy going through someone's body at that point. And if they're having some really big issues, especially with like anger or rage or feeling out of control, maybe sometimes they're capable of doing stuff like that.
I will admit that that's a stretch from like 12 to 16. If you want to talk about hard, awkward time frames, man, junior high, like middle school, junior high, early high school, sheesh, man.
Kids are scary. They're like...
Well, they're also so mean. I mean, there's always those jerk-offs in high school, the stereotypical jock that's conceited and rude to other people.
Yeah.
But I feel like that age when you first start hitting puberty to where you're like 16, from 12 to 16, man, that's rough.
Do you know what my oldest
I
son...
I feel bad for my kids. I'm watching them go through it, you know?
You're
trying to figure out who you are. Your body's changing. And people somehow are more moody and mean and unkind.
Yeah, my oldest told me when he was going through that, he said, Mom, I feel like a werewolf. He's like, I'll be fine. And then some little thing happens and all of a sudden I'm like rage level 10 and I want to like break through walls. And, you know, he's right. It's
Dr.
Like
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
You know, for a boy, girls, we just like, we get emotional and cry and think about death.
Vocally backstab.
Wait, no, I don't get mean like that. But it seems like most of the time most of the girls I knew, and I mean even myself, they're blaming their parents and for everything wrong in their life and all their everythings, and it's so sad and terrible.
What do you mean? That's all very true.
I might go cut myself in a corner and cry, you know, or throw my friend under the bus. I mean, you're right. There are some crazy girls.
It can turn into Carrie really fast.
Yeah, that's true. There are some girls. Well, think of the things that some girls have done. I think a girl's more scary. Like, you just don't know how they're going to decide to, like, ninja attack. It's like stabbed in the back. I feel like it probably came from women. Because
and then you have majority of serial killers that are famous are
hey,
men.
See, so what if someone has really powerful emotions and instead of becoming a serial killer, they can throw chairs across the room?
A new discovered puberty power.
But they don't know they have it. They can't control it. It's just like...
It's like, wow, I have an erection. Wow, I can throw a chair.
It's like an energy explosion. Anyway, whatever.
I'm sorry, people. I couldn't help it. The way this is turned, man. Talking about...
Well,
but people's energy is very real. Okay, I'll give you that.
Well, and I want to say, anybody who listens to us should know they should never expect it to be completely what they probably think most of the time.
like they should be afraid of dolphins or something like that.
Yeah, they should. I'm telling you, Google it.
He got his life saved from a shark attack from dolphins.
Yeah, there's a few of those cases. There's other cases.
All right, we won't revisit that.
No, we won't. So, okay, I'm just going to say, like, there's this kid, right, for example, they actually called this project Poltergeist.
Okay.
And what happened was this boy in the 1960s.
Who's they?
Like,
who called
he was... They made articles. They researched him. He had people.
Okay, so like scientists were studying this kid.
The people who looked, and so they called it Project Poltergeist because they sent people over there to check into it. So this young boy in the 1960s in New Jersey was the first perpetrated haunting in public housing projects.
Okay,
and that was like the first one in like the poor community, right, where people are like on government housing.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was living with his grandmother. He had, his father was a mean man who was abusive. And his mother was afraid of him and had a dream that he wanted to kill her. And she woke up and she felt scared. So she went and got the gun out and put it under her pillow to protect herself because she was scared he was going to kill her.
Wow.
And then she woke him up to ask him if he was tired of her or something like that. I'm not maybe wording it exactly right, but he just didn't answer her and rolled over and went back to sleep. So she shot him in the head and killed him. And so she ended up getting locked up and he ended up getting sent to live with his grandmother.
Oh, gosh.
And on the evening of his 13th birthday... Bum, 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 bum. I'm telling you.
When his balls dropped.
Exactly.
Okay, continue. I see the correlation again.
Well, the thing is if you look at these stories, it's so often, I'm telling you, it just kind of has me wondering.
There's got to be something
pattern.
there, huh?
There's a pattern. There's these freaking teenagers that had trauma.
All right, continue.
Okay.
13th birthday.
So he was living with his grandmother. He was lonely. He was more quiet, shy. He was a well-behaved boy. And he had a no-nonsense grandmother that he was living with. Anyways, stuff started flying around after he got that old. Glass jar from the top of the dresser on the opposite end of the room will crash to the floor. So, like, things start being thrown around. Jars getting tossed. Cups getting knocked off stuff, things getting broken all the time. In fact, she got to the point where she turned the TV backwards and towards the wall so that if it fell, it was less likely to break it because it was the most expensive thing they had.
Oh, gosh.
So, like you can't just replace it.
It has to be a lot of things very frequently to get to the point where you're doing something like that.
Okay, they fled the house multiple times. They had people come over. They're like, I don't believe you. And then they're watching stuff just start falling when they were completely secured on, a place. When a guy came to study there, things got out of control. He got hit in the back of the head with a salt shaker while the kid was in front of him. Like, they just didn't know what the heck was going on. And they started they moved him out and it stopped. And then when they'd move him back in, because they'd go stay with some family for a while or whatever, then it would start again. And the government housing was trying to say that, there was something going on, and she was scared. She didn't want to get thrown out off of government housing, the grandmother. She lived there for 20 years before, and there'd never been a problem. And they even went in and were checking into it because they wanted to see what was going on here, and if there was concern for the child.
Right.
Well, nobody could disprove things, and people were seeing stuff when they'd go in there just flying around. And there were times when you couldn't say maybe the kid was hiding and chucking it. So they finally took him in and put him in a room with his grandmother with the see-through glass to evaluate him. And when she turned away to walk out of the room, he picked up some stuff and threw it at her. And they were like, okay, what the heck? Well, he did a polygraph and passed saying he didn't throw it. And then they started thinking that maybe he didn't, that he had been affected at that point. But they know for sure there's many a times where he was clear across the room from what flew, or he was in front of someone.
Meaning he couldn't have thrown it.
There's no way he couldn't have thrown. He threw those two.
Okay.
But there's no way he could have thrown, 90% of the stuff that happened. He was in another room. He was on the other side of the room. He was, whatever. So that was never figured out. Eventually, they moved him in with aunts and uncles, and stuff started happening other places. One of the investigators even put them in a hotel room, and stuff started happening there. And then, it got to where nobody wanted to take him because stuff was happening. And lots of times when they took him away from his grandmother, it would stop. But basically, they finally... he had an aunt and uncle. They put him in foster care and for a while. And then an aunt and uncle just decided to take him. And there was still stuff happening in their house, but not as bad and as often.
Okay.
And even later, his wife said every once in a while something would fall and break when it shouldn't. But he did admit later, and as he got older, finishing puberty, after 18, things calmed down and pretty much stopped, right, for the most part. Well, he admitted that he had suppressed anger and rage, and that he'd wished, like he was glad his dad had died because his mom was safe, but he missed him and he felt bad about it. So like he had all these suppressed feelings of like things going on for him, and when he'd get picked on or whatever, he would just suppress it all. So I don't know, it just seems like
it just sounds like Jedi powers to me.
Yeah, but it's uncontrolled.
He could manipulate the midichlorians.
Wouldn't it be cool if they actually knew how to do it? Then that is what would happen. Our government would have like a military unit of just prepubescent,
of supernatural
puberty-inflicted children going out to war. No, but we can't control. We can't. I don't think they can control it. I think it's just energy explosions, maybe from them. Okay, it's just a theory. But I just want to throw it out.
Well, I think it's a little far-fetched, but I will say anything's possible.
Exactly. Just like there might be demons and whatnot. And I will tell you a story. And if you want to share a story, I'd love for you to share a story.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, I did have one time something happen that I absolutely, to this day, I have no explanation for it. I was over at my friend's house whose brother was supposedly having problems, and they were having all these problems with poltergeist and bad activity in their house. The bad kind. Anyway, so...
supernatural, baddie stuff.
Yeah, people getting, sleep paralysis and stuff, which I also want to,
to walk about sometime.
A little bit.
Okay.
Because, it comes to the... I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay. So continue your story.
Basically, I was in the basement with my best friend, and we were hanging out, and we see this cat. It was like, the old buildings where in the basement you have like the window well, like you have the window and it's inside the ground, but there's like a little metal piece and it's like cut out. You know how the windows were in the old houses?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how to explain them, but it's like there's ground outside your window and then a circular sheet of metal that goes up to the ground. Okay. So she had one of those kind of windows, and we see this cat sitting up on the grass above the window, and it's looking at us. And of course, it's a black cat. Of course.
Couldn't be like white.
No. And it's sitting there, and it's making this weird noise at us and just staring at us. And it was kind of freaking us out, and it was annoying as well. So I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go and scare it away. And, I go stomping up the stairs and she's behind me like, no, don't open the door. And I go and I open the door and stick my head out and it's not there. And she's, peering around me. We don't see it anywhere. So we shut the door. We never went outside of the house. Never walked away from the door. We go back downstairs. We're like, okay, well, it's gone. We start, joking around, goofing off again and relax. And then all of a sudden, this black cat shoots out from under the bed and into her closet. And they were those kind where you roll, and shut on both sides. So we're like, what the heck? And we're like, how did it get in the house? And I'm like, dude, there's no way it could have gotten in the house. She's like, yeah, no, there's no way. I was right here. Like, there's no way. So we're like, what, really baffled.
Yeah.
And so we go over and open the closet and, we're looking for this cat that might rip our faces off, carefully. But we check the whole closet and like we get to where we've looked on both sides. We've moved through the whole thing. There's no cat in that closet.
Yeah.
Like no cat. And I don't understand what that was. Like that was freaking weird.
And you didn't take any LSD?
No, I was a little girl. I've never taken LSD.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure we rule out that possibility. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I really don't.
To this day, you can't explain
How can you explain that? There's, you can't, like logically, you cannot. How could the cat vanish?
It's like the Chris Angel Mike Freak cat.
Yeah, we both saw it. It was real.
It was all an illusion. You both fabricated it because you wanted to see it.
No,
but it wasn't really there, Lele.
We were just teenage or young girls goofing off. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Her brother was the one who was having all the problems. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who was tormented the most. So, and it seems like the person, that person is always the one who's tormented the most. And so it's like, maybe they hate themselves for going through puberty, so they throw powers at themselves and everything else. I don't know. They just don't like that transfer.
All right, Lele, I've had it enough with the puberty powers, all right?
Oh, we're done. So now
I refuse to believe.
Okay, now
you've officially talked me out of it. They're evil spirits. That cat was a demon cat.
So then what are you saying? Are demons attracted to kids going through puberty? Is that, maybe it's that way?
Well, maybe that's just also maybe younger kids at that age are more sensitive to be able to see those things.
No, but these are things that everybody's seeing that's happening around them.
Okay.
Like objects flying around and voices and stuff. And like all kinds of crazy things.
Well, I would like to believe that some of the stories out there are BS and then some of them are true.
See, and I think I'd rather believe it's some weird puberty power than a demon or something like
Whatever
that.
helps you sleep better at night, Lele. You watch a lot of freaky stuff, you and all your horror movies.
Look, I'm just saying, I know how to handle someone who breaks in my house.
Don't worry about that dark figure that caused bruises on your body. It's just your body going through some changes.
No, but like, think about it. If you have something...
You're laughing because of how ridiculous it sounds
well,
right
I know it does, but my point is these things happen and like what I don't know how to
No, but I understand your perspective too. It's like, okay, we're beings of energy, we create energy. What is that capable of?
Well, because the other alternative.
So I'll give you that benefit of the doubt.
If some demon comes in my house, how am I supposed to, I can't kill that. Like what the heck, man? I'm just saying, like, I would much rather it be teenage rage. I can handle that.
Like I said, Lele, whatever makes you sleep better at night.
Okay, on to paralysis.
Paralysis.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I have had a couple of kids that have dealt with night terrors.
Okay.
I've had a lot of situations where I've had scary dreams as a kid, and I've like been scared enough to the point where I'm going into mom and dad's room late at night because I'm freaked out. Mm-hmm. But I really haven't had anything in my life happen that I couldn't
explain.
To the point where I was like, okay, that was probably my imagination. Mm-hmm. So I've heard a lot of stories, but I've never had such a dark, unexplainable event that I remember it, and I'm like, dude, to this day, like you did with the cat.
Yeah, well, and it was weird because it was both of us.
So no, I have had instances where I've more so just dealt with things that I feel. Mm-hmm. Because I do feel like the intuition, or in my opinion, we have spirits inside our bodies. So I feel like sometimes our spirits can sense things that cause us to feel things.
Yeah. So what if something negative happened there in history and there's like energy that's left behind that's negative?
I think that could be a very real thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the one trick explain all.
No, I don't.
Card.
I don't.
I think there's a lot of different things out there. All I know is that we don't know very much, right?
No, we think
when it comes to the supernatural and understanding things as they are, we know we live on a planet, and there has to be other planets that have life on it, because it'd be crazy to think that ours is the only one, but yet we can't go that far to find it. So I tend to be more open-minded because I know, I mean, at one point they believed the world was flat.
True.
Okay? So just because something is commonly believed or perceived a certain way, it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very open. So that's why, I mean, I'm teasing you and joking about the puberty thing, but I do believe we are energetic beings, so there could be some validity to that.
Well, if you're religious, you believe Noah parted the sea. I mean, I'm just saying that would be some kind of power. People used to think
Noah built a boat. Moses parted the sea. It was kind of the opposite.
You can tell I'm big on religion.
Yeah. That one Noah guy that was like, hey, we want to get across, move. No, it was Moses with a staff.
You know, I just want to say, honestly, coming from a complete direction than where the way I'm talking right now, people say that these people like perform these crazy miracles like that. Excuse me, have you ever seen any huge miracles like that before? Have you seen somebody walk on water or part the sea? I'm just saying.
I did. It was
story.
Chris Angel, Mind Freak, minor detail. They showed how he could do it after the fact. He was walking on glass.
Okay, this is
and people were swimming underneath him because it was flat glass.
How do we know that it wasn't just a really big puddle that Jesus walked across, and that whoever
be careful
escaping,
because you don't want to get sacrilegious on our program.
No, I'm just saying, like, I've never seen something like that, and so it's hard for me to believe it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No,
and
this just goes to show the difference between you and me, and the way you perceive things and how you make sense of them, which is totally okay.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of people who even perceive things ways that neither of us do. And that's okay too. You know, there's nothing wrong with differences in perspective. And I think there's nothing wrong with talking about them.
Of course not.
So yeah, I honestly, whatever makes people happy and it's not hurting anyone else and it makes them want to be something better, I think it's wonderful.
Go for it.
Yeah, do it. You know, and we all have our own paths that we choose in life, right?
Yeah.
So,
but to go back step,
yeah,
don't have any real supernatural experiences that I can share. That
okay.
I mean, I've thought I've seen, you know, the scary thing at night, and more than likely it was probably just a nightmare. I deal with the same thing with my kids, and I have to try and bring their mind from the illogical to the logical.
Okay.
Because like when I tuck them in at night, sometimes I have to remind them, like, okay, I'm right downstairs. And they're like, well, can you check the house? And so I have to be like, okay, if there really was something in the house, I walk through this process with them to help them to understand.
It.
So I'll be like, okay, like if someone even walks outside of our house, what's going to happen at night? The dog is going to start yapping away like she always does. And if someone starts trying to break in the house, daddy's going to go get a gun. And then when they enter the home, I'm going to shoot them dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so let's play through this again. You're up here in your room. I promise you're safe. Someone tries to break in or something crazy's going on. Dog's going to start barking. Daddy's going to get the gun. And daddy's going to shoot him dead. And then they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
but you're kind of helping them process and realistically perceive a situation versus let their explosive imagination just go crazy.
So, you know what? I use the same logic with my kids. And like when we go camping and they hear something moving around the bushes and get scared, they always had one of the dogs in their tent. And I'd say, hey, if it was something dangerous, he would start going nuts. And look, he's just laying there chill. So you guys need to. He'll know if it's bad because he'll do something. And then
that is one advantage of having a pet. I mean, I'm not a dog person. I wish we did, but that is one thing I'm grateful for.
I love dogs.
They are
animal person.
She loves them, and I only have a dog because my wife made me. Because I love her. So, but anyway, but I do agree that animals are good at alarming, and they also have said their awareness is much higher.
Yes, they can see things that we don't see.
Dogs, have you heard the terminology? Dogs can sense evil.
Yes, and so I tell my kids that too. Like if there's something evil here, the dog would be freaking out. But anyway, that goes into the whole sleep paralysis, right?
Yes.
So this is what I wanted to say, is there are people who claim that they saw someone a loved one that they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Or they awoke and there was a specter there, or there was a demon there or something, right? Well, what if they're just in that space between awake and not awake? And so it feels really real, but they're not quite out of the dream state either. And so they're seeing something, but it's just because they're half asleep. That's a theory I have. And because a lot of the times I'll talk to someone who's seen some ghost, and they're like, yeah, I was in bed, sleeping, or I was in the bed trying to go to sleep, or I woke up in the night. And then, I mean, if you think about it too, with like sleep paralysis, it's to where your mind wakes up, but your body hasn't reacted yet, right? So you're like frozen. But then
I deal with that a lot at my house because genetically it runs in my wife's side.
Okay.
And I have a couple kids where they literally wake up and they're sleepwalking. Mm-hmm. And it's like they will talk, but it's like they are not awake, and I will slap their cheeks, hey, wake up. And they're not. So there could be a lot of things that happen from that.
Do you remember when our brother, I'm not going to say which one, would get up in the night and he'd go to pee, and sometimes he'd pee on in the garbage can, or he'd get the back of the wall.
I did that one time. Okay, Leah. Oh my gosh, Lily. I was at a sleepover at my friend's. I peed in the popcorn bowl. And luckily, we could smell it. Can you imagine being the guy that reached into that popcorn bowl and took a handful and shoved it in your mouth? That's the only time I've ever actually walked, and like peed that I know of. Okay,
you're not the only
one. But I literally peed in the popcorn bowl.
You're not the only one. There was another sibling who used to go in there, and sometimes he'd pee in the garbage can, sometimes he'd pee. But like my point is you weren't actually fully awake. You were not. You don't remember going. You obviously wouldn't have peed inside of a popcorn bowl.
Yeah.
If you were coherent at all.
Well, my wife went walking one night in her sleep, and her dad found her, and she was in the front yard, and she came to and woke up while she was outside.
Oh, I bet it scared her to death.
Yeah.
They say never wake up someone who's sleepwalking. They say go walk them back to their room and put them to bed because it will scare them.
My wife might correct me. I'm pretty sure I remember that's what she told me is the one time she was actually outside in the front yard. But so there are a lot of things that can contribute to it.
Just put leashes on your children, So.
But we are in the month. We are in the month of the supernatural, where supposedly the creepy ghouly ghosts, ghouls and ghosts, not a ghouly ghost. What's a ghouly ghost even look like? It's a ghoul that's turned into a ghost. But it's kind of fun. I've had some moments where I've had the hair sit up on the back of my neck.
Definitely.
But I like horror movies and anyway. I have an interesting relationship with the supernatural and scary things. Because I'm intrigued, but there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't want to go there and I don't want to feel those emotions.
Yeah.
And other times, I would rather watch the horror thrasher than the jump scare movie, right? Where you're just waiting for that time
Those are the only ones that make me scream.
Well, and you're smart because when you're a kid, you just cover your ears. It's the sound that really gets to you. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, who knows?
Most of the time, I just flap my arms.
Like you're a bird trying to take off.
Yeah, I was in the movie theater. We were watching a movie, and there kept being jump scares, and I was with friends, and I'd start flapping my arms, and they started laughing at me and like started recording me like when I would do it because they thought it was so funny.
I'd be that guy like on the next one down, being like, "Would you guys shut up? You're ruining the movie."
But I wasn't making a sound. I would just do a little flap with my arms. And I think it's that, just get out of there, just go, like that energy.
Yeah.
Oh
no.
Like, yeah.
I'm just gonna start jogging in place because I don't know what to do with myself.
No, but I don't do that. I'm not at home watching a horror movie flapping my arms, I promise. And
I could see it.
Usually the only jump scares get me very rarely, and most of the time it's a friend who decides to go to me.
Yeah, well, but oftentimes too, it's like it's coming, but there's a delay. Mm-hmm. So you're like waiting for it. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah, like building the tension.
Anticipation is there. You're like, just jump out already so I can get this over with.
Yeah, they call it a thriller for a reason,
Thriller.
Yeah. And, it's like, it's that, not knowing what's going to happen yet, but something's going to happen.
So do you know why I believe that people can be possessed and that spirits can, like in that portion?
You do think that?
I believe in that because I'm a Christian dude, and in the Bible, it says that Jesus would cast out evil spirits in people, and there's one particular passage where he casts it out of someone, and the spirits say, "Well, can you at least let us be in the pigs?" So I feel, and they go and get in the pigs, and the pigs get all crazy, and they like run off a cliff.
I'm sorry, I don't think that's very nice to tell them that they can be in the pigs.
Yeah.
Pigs have feelings too.
Yeah, and they do. No, but what I'm saying is, though...
you believe they're real.
I believe that there are evil spirits and that they can possess a body, and I do believe that they can be taken away. But... not on the same level where I'm always going to assume that's the case. I'm just saying I know because of what I believe it's possible, and whether or not there are people that are experiencing it now. But one would say or believe, okay, if I believe that because I believe what's written in the Bible is true, then that means it can happen to someone else, which means I have to accept the fact that that's a possibility.
Well, and I accept the fact that it is too, and that was just one, that was my main example of what I've seen that I can't explain. There were other things that I had that happened. We had one house we lived in where some weird stuff would happen. I called the cops twice because I thought someone was in the house or something happened, whatever. I've had other things happen, and I can tell you, I definitely have gone through times where I have that feeling of something heavy and dark and dangerous.
Yeah, that pit,
malicious.
And that pit in your stomach.
Yeah, that feeling that there's something that's around you that would like to rip you apart.
Yeah.
And has no intention of doing anything except for something destructive. Uh-huh. And I've felt that before. But, I don't know. It could be, part of it could just be psyching yourself out, part of it. There's places, though, that you go where there's more of a tendency to have that. And, like I said, it could be maybe those sounds that we can't hear could have something to do with it. But some places, like I said, it could also be energy. And you're right. There could be some evil things. And, there's certain things that, there's people who've gone places and then after that they had problems and they think they took something home.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess with that stuff. I talk...
Well, and there's that belief that they feel like people that get possessed... They offer the invitation, which is why they have Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And they'll use them in movies to say, okay, this is how it started. They invited that dark energy to be a part of their life.
I've used them before.
Which also makes you wonder, it's do they only have that power over us if we invite it and let it? Mm-hmm. If it's real, right?
Well, it could just even be someone who's more weak-willed, or someone who is really confused inside.
Yeah.
But, I feel like you should be careful. Okay, it seems like when I did know people who were talking about going through paranormal problems at home, the ones who weren't afraid and didn't
have the issues.
They had very few, if none, issues.
Interesting.
But the people who were scared we're having problems all the time. And I've had times where I've felt like I'm in somewhere where I feel like there's something evil around me. And I just don't let myself show any fear. And I say I'm not afraid. And I've also have, look, in all religions, they will call out the name, in the name of God or in the name of Christ, I order you to leave. I've had times where I'm like, this is my space. I don't want you here. You need to go. And I'm not afraid of you. Leave me alone. And, it would just go away. And I think that. So,
and then now here comes the argument. Is it in your head or is it real?
Well, it could be either.
And that's the thing, right?
Yes. Okay. I could have just comforted myself, or I could have had something that was evil around who realized I wasn't going to be any fun to play with because I wouldn't give away my power. Because fear is a way of giving away power, right?
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And I think it can weaken you to those kinds of things, because if you're fun to mess with and you react to things, then you're fun to play with, right?
You are mine to toy with.
Well, in any aspect of life.
So do we have any more interesting factoids in your preparations you want to bring forward?
No, I just wanted to say I'm throwing out all these ideas just because I know Michael, I'm being the devil's advocate. And
blaming it on puberty.
Well, no, I thought it would be fun to throw out my ideas and perspectives, but I by no means want to underplay or try to belittle
or make someone feel like what they experienced wasn't real.
Like belittle anybody who's been through something that was traumatic for them or something that was positive. Some people see family members. Some people see things that save their lives.
Yeah.
Then there's like freaking Mothman appearing right before a giant catastrophe that everybody sees this Mothman on the hill and a bridge collapses. Like there's so many things we can't explain. And, I just try to figure things out. Like
and we're all just trying to make sense of things. And
exactly. So I just want to make sure you people who are listening that
if you're spiritually inclined or believe in a lot of these things.
At all. And I hope I didn't say anything that offended anyone.
But we still have our opinions, so.
Yeah, we have our opinions.
So eat it.
But I would never belittle you for anything or think that you're stupid. Like I said, I'm open to the idea that those things are all true. I just feel like my theories are a lot less terrifying.
Maybe you just keep yourself in a safe little box.
Well, I don't want a demon. All right, you guys. So, this was our talk about ghosts.
And just remember, if you find yourself in trouble, call the Ghostbusters.
No, I don't think they're around anymore. But there are people you can actually call who will come out and they'll check your house and they'll tell you if it's something explained that they can find or something not. So there's always there's something out there for anyone. And, if you're really feeling tormented, you could always go to your religious leaders and talk to them too. It's better to ask for help than to
don't ever suffer alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, we love y'all. We'll talk to you later.
Until next time.
For sure. And boo. No.
Boo.
Bye.